Well, folks, here we are. My triumphant return. Hi, guys. I am really sorry. I am so sorry that I took so long to come back to the internet. I was pretty sick. It's actually really funny. I thought I had Omicron, but I think I might have actually had Delta because not everybody in our group was infected, which is great because there were a couple of newborns at this gathering. Let me back up for a second. Sorry to have been gone. I was sick, in case you missed my post on both my channel post updates / if you don't follow me on Twitter, which you should. That's probably where I am the most active. And that's kind of why I took such an extended hiatus. I didn't really mean to. I just got kind of sick and I lost all ability to kind of function. And then, work started and all of that fun stuff. And I'll tell you guys a little bit about what's happening with me. If you guys are not interested in me, which is fine. I mean, I'm not hurt or anything like that, whatever. You could probably skip maybe 5 to 10 minutes. I will see if I can put in a little link down below for you guys to skip, update about me. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. I think I had Delta because I lost my sense of taste and smell, which thankfully are back now. And I felt awful. I haven't had a flu or a cold, a serious one, for maybe 3 years, 4 years. Normally when I get sick, I get a really bad headache and it makes it really hard. I get light sensitivity, which I don't think is really common for people, but I can't wear my glasses and it's really hard to do things, but I don't suffer, This was a lot of just suffering, a lot of lying in bed and not really being able to function or do anything. And so it took about, I want to say 2 to 3 days for the worst of it to pass, and then just crushing exhaustion. Even now, I don't feel 100% because I feel I get tired a lot faster. I get tired. I need more sleep, which is not a thing that's common for me because if you guys don't know, I have insomnia. Anyway, all that is to say, I didn't mean to be gone for quite this long. I'm sorry I was gone. I am back, as you can see, and I'm getting back into the swing of making videos. Now, on the topic of making videos, stuff has been slowly opening back up despite the surge in numbers, which doesn't make any sense to me, but I have been called to the mothership, by which, of course, I mean that my work is asking us to come back in. I'm not going back in full time, but it does mean that I have less time at home, and my God, my commute sucks really bad. So videos are probably going to be slower. You guys might be getting 2 videos a week if I'm lucky, because I'll try and film at least one on the weekend and maybe one midweek. That's kind of my plan going forward. We just started last week back in office, so there's a little bit of a transition while I get the hang of being in office and doing things and planning my day around that again. So might take a little bit, but yeah, those are all the updates on my end. So let's talk about what's happening with Chantal and kind of the reason why I didn't push myself harder to get a video out. Sometimes there's stuff happening with Chantal and I really want to talk about it. And even if I can't make a long video, you guys know, I'll just do a short or something from my bathroom. I didn't do that this time because when I was gone over the course of the holidays, I was just so annoyed with her. I was so annoyed with her. I made a video for my patrons, which, by the way, I have a Patreon. If you guys are interested in following me, the link is down below. But I made a video for my patrons, and I'd mentioned this in there as well. But I am just so tired of her just back and forth with Nader. I'm so tired of the gross way in which she's dealing with this relationship. And honestly, more than that, I'm really sick of the way in which she's treating the people around her. Because one of the things that she did over the holidays that really pissed me off was that she bought all this weed product. And I remember when she bought it, even though we now know what happened, when she had first put that video out, and I remember watching the video and I thought, she's not going to go. She's not going to go to her parents' place at all, and she's going to smoke through all of what she has here, or eat through it, whatever, because her parents are of an older, her stepdad and her mom are a slightly older people. They're more than likely not going to be using the cannabis products. She herself, her mom herself is in the healthcare field where testing is a pretty regular part of life, which means she might not be able to use products because even if it might be allowed by the law, it might not be allowed by your specific employer. And more importantly, if it's a global thing, right, like a bigger company say like an Abbott or a Pfizer. These are large pharmaceutical companies. They have rules in place where that might not necessarily be illegal, but they don't allow it for employees of their company. It might be against company policy. I don't know where she works, and I have no intention of finding out and looking because I think that's invasive. But I think it's fairly standard to assume that. And if I remember correctly, I think her mom has anxiety issues. So you guys know, I've been very open about this. I have generalized anxiety. I have a lot of generalized anxiety, actually. And one of the big things when you have generalized anxiety is that weed is not the godsend that you would think it is. Depending on the kind of person you are and the kind of anxiety that you have, weed might actually make you significantly more anxious, which can happen in people who already have pre-existing anxiety. It's one of the reasons why, despite my anxiety, I don't take any weed products. I also don't drink. Personal choices aside, it's really not a smart decision for someone like me because I get mopey, I get in a bad mood, I get really sad. I don't handle my anxiety very, like 9 times out of 10 when I get anxious, it's like nothing will help. It's the dead certainty that something is going to go wrong. I don't need weed added on top of that. I don't need the weed-induced paranoia that can come with it. And so, this is not just me self-diagnosing. This is from a psychiatrist. It is not recommended. So the fact that she bought all this weed product for her family made me feel suspicious. And Chantal she might not be self-aware, but Chantal is not stupid. She wouldn't buy all of this product with the understanding that, like thinking that, oh yeah, I'm delusional enough to think that this is helping me. Maybe it'll help them too. I think 100% she knew from the get-go that she was not planning on going. And the reason for that is that her family is on the outs with her. Despite what Chantal may say, I don't think they have any kind of a relationship right now. And my feelings are based on just the fact that we really haven't heard from her parents, heard from her family in any significant capacity in quite a while. Her aunt was here and she's talked about her aunt like on and off for years, and her aunt didn't show up in one video. And we see hours and hours and hours of Chantal on live every single day, and there doesn't seem to be any time where she could have gone to see her parents, because any free time that she seems to have, I say parents when I mean family, seems to be devoted to going to Nader. Last but not least, Nader himself is a thorn. I refuse to believe that there is a family out there that would see their child with a person like Nader and be okay with it. Like, not a family that loves you in any case. Because Nader is not a good guy, despite how awful Chantal is. And she is awful, and we will talk about this. It doesn't mean that he is, fine or okay or anything. He still sucks a lot. I just don't think that Chantal is willing to acknowledge any of that. I don't think Chantal is willing to do anything in a way that gives her family confidence that she's going to be moving on from this man. And the games that she's playing with us, while she might be able to get away with it, I don't think that her family is buying it, and I think that they're on the outs. And I've said this before, too. I really don't think Chantal has anybody other than, like, Pete's and Nader to confide in, which is one of the reasons why I think she's so incredibly gung-ho on Nader, why she's trying to hold on to him so bad. Fun fact, I have a friend / distant family member who got divorced, and they started seeing this other person. This other person is not right for them. They're not. Like, the entire family doesn't like them. They're not really right for them. That said, they're still trying their damnedest to turn them into the right person. Because when you are unhappy in your situation and you find something that gives you any kind of joy, you might latch onto that spark of joy and assume that this is the solution. This is the answer to your problems. Chantal is unhappy in her life. We see that in every single thing that she does. But rather than trying to address the deeper issue of it, she's using Nader as a mask. And she uses him as a mask in both the good times and the bad times. In the good times, he's making me so happy. I love him, I love him, I love him. But in the bad times, he is making me so unhappy. I hate him. I can't believe he's doing this to me. But assigning all of the happiness in that situation, all of the unhappiness in that situation onto one person, it takes away from your ability to be like the captain of your own ship. And honestly, it takes away from your ability to act and change stuff. But more importantly, it puts you in this position where you don't realize that there are other contributing factors that are leading you to that point. Like, all of my mental health stuff aside, I would never look at a man like Nader and be like, yeah, I think I should give him a shot. There is nothing anybody could do or say that would convince me to do that. And the reason for it is because I am happy enough in my life to think I would rather be alone than be with him, right? Despite my anxiety issues, despite my other problems, I have at least that much self-awareness, at least that much growth and healing in my life, that I would not look at a man like that and think, if he brings me some amount of happiness, all the other shit that he does to me is worth it. And by assigning all of her, the root of all of her happiness and unhappiness to him, she is keeping herself from really truly investing in the idea that she came to him with problems. Him being there or not being there aren't going away. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is this idea of Chantal being like, she has displayed a lot of very concerning behavior. Okay, she really, really has. Chantal likes to play the eternal victim, that everyone is doing things to her, that life is happening to her and not something she is going through, not something that she is living with. And quite frankly, I'm really tired, I guess, of the past that she is getting, because I think that her behavior is incredibly concerning. Now, I don't think that everybody is doing that. I think there's a good portion of people who are not letting her just really disturbing behavior, calling 50 times in a row, sitting outside of his house for prolonged periods of time. They're not just letting it slide. I think there's a lot of people who are actively calling her on it. But I see so many people also saying, yeah, you know, that really sucks, but he is also bad. Those are two very separate conversations. Nader can suck from here all the way to Montreal, right? He sucks a lot, and I really dislike him. And I've said this multiple times that I think he's a really grimy guy. I've experienced with people like him, and I mean that in every sense of the word. People from that culture, people from that religion. I have like lived personal experience. I know the kind of toxic masculine bullshit and the kind of horrible environment that shapes a person to become the kind of person that he is. Right? So what I'm telling you, that doesn't mean that all of his behavior can be what it is. It doesn't give Chantal a pass. Like, understand that I mean this with complete understanding of what he is like. He is a bad guy. But take that aside for a second, right? Imagine that Nader wasn't Nader. Imagine that Nader was just a blank slate. He is a guy. Right? He is a guy who is seeing Chantal. He's not super committed, and he's waffling back and forth. And he says, I don't know if I want to be with you right now. I don't know if we can do this, you know, just whatever. He's just being kind of like a garbage boyfriend, maybe, right? Does it warrant the kind of behavior that she's displaying towards him, where she's calling him 50 times in a row, where she's calling him 20 times in a row? No. I've said before very, very firmly, the only person in my entire life who has called me like anywhere near, I think it was 22 times in a row, was my mom, because she thought I died. She genuinely thought that I was missing because I hadn't called her for several hours, and she got super worried, and she called me like 22 times in a row, and she would have gone to the cops. Like, you don't want to mess with an immigrant mom, okay? She gets really, really worried. But that is she's like the only person who's ever done that to me, and I believe me when I tell you that I had words with her about it, because there's no scenario in which contacting somebody 22 times in a row is acceptable. The closest would be my mother's. After that point, like, what Chantal is doing is harassment and stalking. You can be an ex-con, you can be a generally terrible boyfriend, freak, you could even be like an abusive person, the way I very much so believe that Nader is. That doesn't give Chantal the right to stalk him. And here's the thing. Every time Chantal does stalk him, every time she does go out of her way to become as big of a nuisance as she is, it erodes, I guess, not the faith, but the belief that people have in her version of events when it comes to the abuse. Because I look at the way that Chantal acts and I think to myself, is this really a woman that's scared of this man's behavior? Like, partner is the nicest, kindest, sweetest person. Like, he is maybe like a bigger liberal bedwetting hippie than I am. Like, he would never lay a hand on anyone regardless. He is genuinely not like that. It's the softest hands I've ever seen on a man. I mean that with love. So he's not the violent type. He's genuinely not. Clever, quick-witted, incredibly intelligent guy. not violent in the least. But I'm telling you, if I called him 50 times in a row, yeah, he would have strong words for me. And I would be afraid to do that because I know of the kind of reaction that will provoke in someone. And this is someone who I have full faith would never, ever do anything to harm anybody like that. You're provoking a man who's literally gone to jail for aggravated assault, right? So when you behave like that, you cannot then come back on here and be like, he's being abusive to me in every way. I don't believe you. If you aggravate someone to the point of literally lashing out at you like that, I don't know how much responsibility I can assign to him. Now, I'm obviously referring right now to the Cpap scenario. If you guys don't know, a lot happened this weekend. It was a very busy weekend. He is currently spending his time with Dee, Chantal 2.0, the next person that I think he's planning on mooching off of and moving on to. And he's getting done with Chantal. And I think Chantal still has the money that he wants. But Chantal comes with a lot more than just money. Chantal comes with baggage. Chantal comes with personality problems. And I think that there comes a point where someone looks at a situation and thinks, this is not worth it. No amount of money I'm getting is worth it. Like, I've rage quit a job before where I didn't have anything else lined up because I remember sitting there and thinking, I don't care how much money they're paying me, right? I don't deserve to be treated like this. And anyone can have that feeling. It doesn't have to be only people who are like, quote unquote, good people. It doesn't have to be only people who aren't, who haven't gone to jail, who don't do drugs. Anyone can look at a situation and think, I'm worth more than that. And I think that's the point where he has gotten. Now, Chantal went to his house. She sat outside of his house and demanded that she get her Cpap machine back from his place. And she sat in her car and she raged about how Dee was there. And in the course of raging at Dee, she made some incredibly distressing, disturbing, and quite frankly, like fat-phobic comments. She made some very like insulting her looks, like going for every single low bar that she could think of. But remember, it's fine when Chantal does it. You can't do it to her, but it's fine if she does it, right? And I'm not even sure what in this scenario you think it is that Dee has done that deserves the kind of treatment that you're giving her. You want to be mad at someone, be mad at the guy who's supposed to be in a committed relationship, right? Like, I've had this conversation with people in my life. If my brother ever gets married, for example, and his wife says or does something, I'm going to first talk to him about it, right? Because if his wife is doing something and she comes back and she says to me like, blah, 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 whatever, scenario, my brother's not married, but if that ever happens, I can talk to her, but at some point, if the situation isn't resolved, I'm going to go to my brother and be like, look, I love you, but this is not an acceptable scenario to me, so you need to have a conversation with your wife. And you need to explain to her, because if I'm important to you, then her treatment of me is not acceptable, right? Like, that's a scenario, because he is the person that I have the emotional connection with. This is a theoretical discussion. My brother is not married, unfortunately. I really want him to be married because I really, really, really want to wear beautiful clothes to a nice function. Just somebody do like a good party, right? Like a fun party where I can put on like a beautiful gown, okay? Because I've got all these like beautiful Indian clothes that I have nowhere to wear. Anyway, sidetracked. What I was trying to say was that you go to the person who you have the emotional connection with. Taking your rage out on the other person is pointless and it's stupid. Dee might not be like the pinnacle of morality here, but she is not the person who made the commitment to you. She doesn't have to honor your word. She doesn't have to honor your feelings. He did, supposedly. And the longer that you behave like this, the more I feel like I don't think he ever made any kind of commitment to you at all. You're blowing this whole thing out of the water. I'm just really done. I'm really, really done with her behavior. I'm really done with the way that she's acting. I'm really done with the kind of light in which she's portraying this person, because I don't like Nader, but it's becoming very, very clear to me that as much as he sucks, she sucks just as bad. She sat outside somebody in the chat called the cops, right? She didn't call the cops because that is going a step too far. That is burning one too many bridges. Because if she calls the cops, there's no way to take it back. If he calls the cops, there's no way to take it back. I don't think there should be any way to take back how much they've already done, like, damage to each other. But fuck if I know. I don't know. I'm not the kind of person who would ever stay in a relationship that's toxic. So maybe I don't know what I'm talking about here, right? So she is now at the point where, she's there with the cops. The cops go inside. He basically grabs all her shit, throws it in a bag, and he's like, get out. Take your stuff and leave. And she takes the stuff and she leaves, and she's so angry about it. And she's angry at the cops because apparently the cops were, like, more willing to believe his side of the story. I mean, all they really had to do was see the 50 messages that Chantal has sent him, the 50 calls that she's made, and they'd be like, okay, yeah, this woman is clearly the one who is the aggressor in the situation. And she is. There is no amount of behind the scenes footage, like backdrop footage that we could see that makes it look like he's the one who's being aggressive right now. Because it looks to me like even if he was a shitty person, he's moved on with his life from Chantal and he doesn't want anything to do with her. She's the one who keeps continuously going over there. She's the one who keeps continuously inserting herself into the situation. Do you remember when she first got together with this man and there was another woman there at some point, not the one sitting outside on the porch, but there was another person in his house, and he was telling her about how his crazy ex-girlfriend. Some people only attract unstable, terrible relationships to themselves because they themselves are pretty toxic. So those are the only types of people who want to be in a relationship with them, and I think that's kind of what's happening here. I think that Chantal is just his most recent horrible girlfriend. It needs to stop either way. Someone made this comparison. I want to say it was Milk Tea Reacts, actually, who made this comparison that she's reminding us more and more of Jodi Arias. If you guys don't know who Jodi Arias is, Swoop on YouTube, Sparky Valentine made a video recently talking about Jodi Arias and the murder that she committed. And it's a fantastic video. And honestly, I see the comparisons very clearly because the guy that she had murdered, she was in a relationship with, and he was a pretty toxic person to her as well. Not that there's anything that deserves murder, but you can kind of sympathize with Jodi. That said, it's her own fault that she did what she did, that Jodi did what she did. And the way that Chantal is behaving, it's giving me more and more vibes of a similar nature. That her psyche is fracturing. We haven't heard about the therapist in a good long period of time. I don't think she's doing anything about that. And honestly, I think that if there ever comes a point where she cannot take the massive amount of drugs that she's taking, I think she's going to do something really drastic. Because I think that's the only thing that's keeping her stable right now. This is, by the way, not me saying that she is going to become Jodi Arias and try to, off someone. I'm just making a comparison there that a lot of the behavioral patterns that we saw in Jodi we're also seeing in Chantal, and that I genuinely worry that she's going to do something drastic. More drastic, of course, than shaving her head. That is another thing I want to talk about real fast. She shaved her head. She shaved her entire head. She cut her hair, and then she shaved her head. When she cut her hair, I was actually a little concerned. This is the thing that I've actually also done. Is when I get really, really stressed and I don't know what else to do, I will literally just cut my hair. I've done it several times because I get anxious about something, and when I don't have the ability to control the thing that I'm anxious about, but I do have the ability to deal with my hair, I will just go to the bathroom and I'll take a pair of scissors and I'll go snip, 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 snip. I'll just cut it. And then the next day I go to a salon and I'll get them to even it out. But I will do that. It's a stress response. And the way that she cut her hair, the uneven choppiness of it, the really suddenness of it gave me kind of the same vibes. And then when she saw the reaction that people were giving her about cutting her own hair, she took a pair of clippers. She took a shaver and she shaved her head on camera. I've seen a lot of people talking about how brave a decision that was. It is not a brave decision. Chantal didn't do it because she looked at herself and thought, you know what? I can be beautiful even without hair. Or I don't have a choice right now. I think that the best thing is for me to just shave my hair the way that a lot of people who are suffering from cancer do. Chantal went on live, saw the reaction that she got from cutting her own hair, and she's like, if I shave my head, I'd get more. I'd get more attention. I'd get more positive and negative reinforcement. Because for Chantal, any attention is good attention. She's addicted to that attention more than she's addicted to anything else in her life. So she's on there and she shaves her whole head. I will say, she looks surprisingly good with a bald head. And if she wants to get wigs, good on her. I'm happy for her. You know, whatever makes you feel more comfortable and happy, I'm happy for you. Go for it. I'm not going to sit here and complain. But it wasn't brave. She didn't do it out of bravery. She did it because it would get her a lot of attention. And rightfully it has. It's even managed to convince some of the people who really dislike her that this was a really brave and groundbreaking decision that she's made. What consequences does Chantal have of shaving her head? And I'm being very genuine here. Maybe you guys think I'm being unsympathetic. But if I shave my head, I have to go into work. My family would see me. My friends would see me. My colleagues from work would see me. I have conferences to go to. I have meetings to interface with. I have people outside of the company that I work for who I have to see. Who exactly sees Chantal outside of the people on her channel? And we know for a fact that Chantal does not consider internet people to be real people. The only people who see her are Pete's, who, let's be very frank here, could not give less of a crap if he was actively trying, and Nader, who does not give a crap about her in any circumstance. And my concern with her shaving her head is that I think it's going to impact her hygiene. I know this sounds really weird, but Chantal doesn't really shower on a regular basis. And the reason we can tell that is because the hair fibers she put in her hair make her hair stiff. Hair fibers and dry shampoo will give your hair texture in a way that clean hair just doesn't have it. Fun fact, I have a lot of dry shampoo in my hair right now. I went for a massage this morning and she rubbed my hair with oil, which was nice. But it made my hair really oily and I don't want to take a shower right now, mostly just because I'm very tired and I have too much work to do. So I'm going to draw myself a really nice relaxing bath in the evening, after which point I will shower. Not in the middle of the day because I'll get sleepy. And she has this tell that when she hasn't showered for a few days, you know, her hair will stand up on funny angles and we can tell like that. And she can tell like that, right? The state of her grossness is very evident in her hair. You can cover up like smells and stuff like that with like perfume, with deodorant. You know, you can't really do anything about the grease buildup in your hair. Trust me, as someone who looks like a weasel dipped in grease after 2.5 days of not washing her hair, I fully understand the need to want to prolong the life of your hair a little bit, right? And she puts a lot of product in it. For her hair to get like that, it has to be really dirty. So I think sometimes Chantal goes like 2 weeks without showering. Without her hair there as an indicator to herself, not just to us, but mostly to herself, as an indicator of how clean she is, I think she's going to shower even less. And quite frankly, I am not looking forward to that. So I think it's going to get bad. My bigger concern is that given the way that her skin folds, if she's not washing it even as often as she's washing it now, there is a high probability of her getting skin infections in her skin folds. And that's actually a really common problem with people who are morbidly obese. And she doesn't have like loved ones and stuff to keep an eye on her. And she's already gotten quite a few like skin abscesses, just pus-filled boils and stuff on her. So that's where I kind of am on all the Chantal stuff. She's been streaming pretty much nonstop since this whole fiasco has gone down. I don't know if I can keep watching her. Even the clip shows of her that I'm watching, I'm just getting like, oh, God. But yeah, that's all I have to say for right now. You guys are probably going to get another video from me in the same exact look because I'm going to film it right after this. Probably sometime in the like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday time frame. It's essentially going to be talking. She talks a lot about how much he's like a malignant narcissist and he's putting her through narcissistic abuse. So I actually want to break down whether or not what she's saying is true or not. So that video is going to be coming out at some point this week. And I will hopefully have regular reacts for you guys coming this week as well. I don't know if I'll have it maybe like Friday or something, or maybe over the weekend. I don't know yet. I don't want to make any promises that I cannot keep, but that's all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys being here. I want to say a special thank you to my $25 patron, D. Higgins. I want to say thank you to all of you guys for watching. I'm so sorry to be gone, but hey, the bitch is back. And as always, I'm Jasmine, the sequel, and I am not relatable. Peace. Thank you to all my patrons: Acrophobe, Ariel M, Christina, Courtney EP, Darkness Dust, Dainty B, Sidra Z, Colleen L, Debbie E, Juju, Just a Jude, Kate O, Sonia P, D. Higgins, and Oceana Songs. Thank you guys so much.